Hello and welcome to Ethereum Classic Community Call number 33. Today is the 29th of November 2022. ETC Community Calls is a casual voice chat to discuss ideas about Ethereum Classic. Everyone is welcome. We're once again on the Twitter Spaces platform, as we were last week. Things went well last week and we got more engagement than usual, so we're going to try it again and continue, I think, for the foreseeable future on Twitter Spaces. You can, as always, join us in the green room before this show starts. I think we're going to reduce the time of the green room to 30 minutes now. So you can join us at 14:30 UTC every Tuesday on Twitter Spaces as well to chat offline. This is a voice chat that's open, so feel free to jump in at any time. If you are listening on Twitter Spaces, remember to, if you do want to speak, use the mobile app, as the web version doesn't currently allow speakers from the web version. So just make sure you're using a mobile app for that. And if you do want to speak, you can request access to speak in the app, and one of the co-hosts will help you get access to speak. You can also post messages on Twitter or on YouTube, and we'll try to respond to your messages. You can find the agenda in a reply to this space, which I'll shortly post, and that will contain links to everything we talk about. All right, so this week we will be talking about, as usual, the vitals in the ecosystem, updates in Ethereum Classic, as well as some wider ecosystem topics, including the recent BlockFi bankruptcy, Grayscale's response, and proof of reserves. Discussion about whether proof of reserves is actually that useful in this kind of situation, and a little minor news topic I noticed about a wrapped ether quote unquote hack thread that was posted on Twitter, and also an idea that was brought up by a community member about hosting some kind of LAN party or a trading party on the Discord or Twitter Spaces. So before we kick off into the content, as always, thank you Brolau and D_A for helping with the call, with the video live stream and the graphics from you guys. So thanks for that. All right, so vitals last week, Ethereum Classic hash rate remained pretty steady at 130 terahashes. Since the merge, it's basically been hovering around this area. And after the FTX craziness of the last month, understandably, the price has gone down slightly, as has the rest of the crypto market, and the hash rate has gone down a little bit, but not as much as you would have expected in that case. Price-wise, from last week, it's recovered from its low of about $17. We're back at $20 where we were before the mini scare of the Grayscale Holdings potential black hole, which, as we'll talk about this week, seems to be resolved. So Ethereum Classic had a bit of a rally yesterday and today. So yeah, ecosystem updates in Ethereum Classic. There's been a new blog post on the website by Donald McIntyre about the difference between a network, a blockchain, and a cryptocurrency. So in Donald's new series of posts, we'll be going through some of the fundamental concepts that help outline the value proposition of Ethereum Classic and getting right down to basics, starting with the fundamental building blocks. So please check that out if you have time. The website has now been launched in Korean. So again, that's been automatically translated via Google Translate into Korean. And that is available as of yesterday. So if you do speak Korean and would like to help correct some of these probably somewhat dodgy machine translated translations, then please reach out in Discord or on GitHub, and you can help us clean that up. There's also been some updates to Classic Rewards, which is a cool project that kind of went under my radar that you should probably check out at twitter.com/classic rewards. And of course, as with all these ecosystem updates, full disclaimer, they have not been audited or, as far as I am aware, could be either great projects or always do your own research, of course. And before we go into the topics of the day, shall we open the floor to anyone who wants to speak or bring up any new ecosystem updates that they want to talk about? So let's just see if there's any requests to become speakers. I'm going to invite everyone in the chat to become a speaker now, just in case they wanted to do that. Okay, so the main topic that we're first going to talk about is a kind of fusion of all of the drama that's been happening in the last week, which is the FTX contagion. And there's a recent update. Oh, hello.
Hi.
Did you want to speak?
Hi, Store. I'm Donald. Thank you for commenting that there's a new post today on the ethereumclassic.org website. I just wanted to tell you how that post it is part of a series of seven, and how was the genesis. It's because I was going to write a blog post explaining what is core Geth and what it does and what are the differences with other EVM clients, etc. And during that conversation with Isaac Ardis, he explained to me many details that one should know previous to understanding what is core Geth or a blockchain client in general. So it turned into a series of 7 posts. So there's going to be, I already wrote 4. They're going to be published in the next few days. And the last 3 are going to be explanations specifically of what is the core Geth client, and then the Hyperledger Besu client, and the one that is being implemented for ETC, which is called Aragon. So I wanted to let you know that.
That's great. And I also noticed that the recent blog post has been translated into Chinese as well. So that will be available as a resource to our friends in China.
Yes, all of the blog posts that I'm going to produce are going to be translated into Chinese and posted in both languages.
That's great. Looking forward to reading those future posts. All right, so yeah, getting back to the topic of the week, which is the FTX contagion. As mentioned, BlockFi, which is one of fairly important DeFi projects on Ethereum mainnet, appears to have, I believe it's on Ethereum mainnet, appears to have gone bankrupt or have filed for bankruptcy. So another victim in the craziness that was the FTX scandal. Related to this is the mini scare that we had last week about Grayscale, which was a fairly significant player in the Ethereum Classic ecosystem. They provide one of the major funds available called GETC that allows retail to get exposure to ETC. And there was a bit of worry last week that maybe they were not doing this thing called proof of reserves. And there was suspicion that maybe that was because they were not having those reserves. But in a post recently by Ergo BTC on Twitter, not related to the project that stole the Ethereum Classic Twitter account, this guy basically did a blockchain analysis and found all of the claimed BTC that lined up with Grayscale's previous attestation about having, I believe it's around 600k BTC, and they've managed to prove that that balance actually does exist. So even though Grayscale declined to do a proof of reserves, they were still able to, thanks to blockchain technology, show that those reserves did in fact exist. So it does bring into the question of whether or not doing a proof of reserves is a useful thing. And given that it seems to be becoming some kind of industry standard now, whether it's something that should be expected going forward, or is it merely a kind of a sort of useful, but not really that useful demonstration, because really all you can do is prove that certain coins have been owned at a certain point in time, but that doesn't really tell you much about the actual off-chain ownership of those funds. So it could be that, yes, you have a bunch of BTC, but do you owe that BTC to someone, for example? And I can see the argument to both sides. And I guess it does make sense to be able to sign a message saying that, yes, these funds are in, at least we can claim they're in our control, but do they actually prove much? Or is that proof really just a made up, it's not a proof in itself. It's just a claim to have a proof. So yeah, I thought we could discuss that potential debate there.
I think that nothing beats having your own private keys and having your ETC in your own account on the ETC blockchain directly with private keys that you control. So yeah, I agree that proof of reserves is just um, more information than in the traditional system, banking system. In banking system, it's a black box. You don't know. You just trust, say the brands like J.P. Morgan, HSBC, Bank of America, and their buildings and their commercials, and we have the impression that they must be solid and must have reserves. But in the blockchain industry, you can actually track on the blockchain who holds what, and if an institution has the reserve that they claim to have, or in a mutual fund or something like that. But it's only informational because the private keys are still held by somebody else. So the fact that you see ETC in an account or Bitcoin in an account that belongs to someone else is good informationally to know, because it's better than that they have zero. But they still control the private keys, and they still own those assets and have possession of those assets. So it doesn't mean that you will ever get them back.
Right. There's no, it's, I see the word proof in the proof of reserves as a bit of a sort of hand wavy, not really proof type word that actually might give people a false sense of security, when really it's just a centralized exchange that could at any point run off with the money or be compelled to do so by some authority. So it's not really proof of much, other than, yeah, okay, it's a data point, as you mentioned. And again, there's multiple ways to kind of mess around with that proof. Sure, you can sign a message to say, yes, at this point in time, someone that we say that owns those keys has claimed that they are us. But like, it doesn't mean that they are in any secure situation, or that they're actually owned in a legal sense by that centralized entity. So I can see Grayscale's side of the argument on that. And I can also see the people demanding having that quote unquote proof. But I don't think there's a definitive answer on this. I noticed that we have Guarda in the chat, and I believe they reached out in the Discord to mention that they had a project that they're working on. So, Guarda, did you want to talk about that project?
Hi, everyone. I'm David, marketing guy at Garda, and thanks, Istora. Did I pronounce it right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm glad I pronounced Guarda right as well.
You did. You did. Well done. So yeah, thanks so much for replying on Discord right away. So yeah, we have a non-custodial crypto wallet. Just a brief, description. We started back in 2017, and we are currently looking, at different options, and just, Ethereum Classic would be definitely, one of those areas. So I'm happy to be here, and I will answer any questions about, Garda or just the non-custodial approach that we support.
Sure. So would you like to give our listeners a brief overview of the product offering?
I would love to. Yeah. So what we have is not just the crypto wallet. As I mentioned, it's non-custodial. It's available on mobile. You can use the web version. You can use the desktop version. If you're using Chrome, there's a Chrome extension. Opera, I think, now has one as well. So we have the wallet functionality. There's an exchange. So we've been working with one of our partners for over 5 years now, and you can also stake. You can get crypto loans all in one spot. So we also have our customer support. So it's not just a bunch of bots. I call it the human customer support. So they're pretty good at what they do. And we have the Garda Academy as well. That's where we update, where we publish information and update our community when it comes down to different partnerships and whatnot. So hopefully we can work together and provide more information. And recently I started learning more about mining. So that's another field that we're going to be, looking into. Just providing people with more information that Garda is definitely, again, no financial advice here, but Garda is definitely one of the platforms that people should consider using.
That's great. And obviously it's great for the Ethereum Classic network to have yet another wallet on top of it that seems to be pretty well polished and has a lot of features. So thank you for supporting Classic.
Of course.
Yeah, I also noticed that you recently started offering a prepaid plastic Visa card. Is that right?
We did. That is correct. Yes. It was about, I think, a month ago. So now you can get your prepaid Visa card. So you have two different options. So you can either sign up for the virtual card and start using it right away, right after you get approved, or you can order the the Web 2.0 card, so the plastic card, and it would be shipped to your house as long as you live in the in the European Union. It's not available in the United States just yet, but we're looking to expand the geography and add more assets to the list of supported ones. So yeah, it's pretty simple and it works. I've used it before. Yeah, and we are always open to different ideas. So if there's, someone listening to this Twitter space and they have ideas on how we can expand the functionality, I'm here to address those ideas as well.
That's great. So basically now anyone in the European Union, unfortunately, my home country, the UK, is no longer in that list right now. But
Right.
they can use their ETC to pay for a coffee using a Visa debit card, which is awesome. So I think that's a massive feature upgrade for the Ethereum Classic network. I wasn't aware of any other providers that support ETC, so that's great. And hopefully listeners in the European Union might consider trying that out.
I do have to mention that not every European country is on that list, but as far as I remember, it's around 25 countries. But again, we're going to be expanding that functionality if everything goes well.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, and Ethereum Classic is supported. And as I mentioned before, happy to look at different options. And if we can update the Ethereum Classic page on our website, we can do that, learn our own campaigns and any educational content that we can produce. We're here to do that.
That's great. Is there any are there any listeners here that would like to jump in and ask some questions?
I know it usually takes time, people gather ideas, decide
Yeah,
whether
sure.
they should. Mm-hmm.
Let's so with the main wallet, so it's supporting multiple platforms, and within that also multiple cryptocurrencies in the same interface, right? And you can swap them around pretty easily, it seems.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, we have the exchange, and you can use the crypto loans functionality as well. I do have a question for you, Istor, if I may.
Sure.
When it comes down to different partnerships, what's the process? Is there a standard approach that you guys use? Because I'm curious to learn more about that as well. Is there a team
Sure.
of people, or it's completely decentralized in that way?
Yeah, it's so the closest I'd say structure to another blockchain that you might be familiar with is Bitcoin, where there isn't really a I mean, there is a company called the Bitcoin Foundation, but they are not authoritative in the same sense that the Ethereum Foundation is. So Ethereum Classic has no official authority in it. There are various entities that have been around for a while. Probably the main one right now is Ethereum Classic Cooperative. I'm not part of that organization, and I'm basically just a individual contributor that's working for fun, contributing to this project. So there aren't any kind of like official partnership projects, but there are going to be grant programs coming up, I believe, that we've talked about in previous calls, and I believe Ethereum Classic Cooperative is also involved in that. So in terms of getting any funding for integrations and that kind of stuff, then those fund processes have not been announced yet, but they will be on the horizon very soon. And I believe that Bob Summerwill of ETC Co-op mentioned that before the end of this year, they're hoping to get the first grants out the door. So hopefully we'll see some movement on that in the next few weeks, really.
That is good to know. All right. And I see it says Ethereum Classic Community Call 33. So when did you start hosting the Twitter Spaces?
So the Twitter Space has been going on since last week. It's been
just last week? Okay.
Yeah, it's been previously held on Discord, and we wanted to branch out into the new emerging Twitter Space phenomena. So we thought we'd give it a try last week, and it worked pretty well. So we're continuing now on Twitter Spaces, and probably will be doing for the foreseeable future. So
Perfect.
That's where we are right now. Yeah.
All right. Good to be here. I'm glad it's on
Cool.
Twitter now.
And yeah, for other people listening, this new format is open, and there's no real set agenda. That we have a rough guideline of what we're going to talk about, but if anyone that wants to bring their interesting new project forward, then please do so, just like Guada has today. So we hope to turn this into a conversation as opposed to just a set agenda each week. So thank you, Guada, for contributing this week.
My pleasure. And Brolal, hi, you're a co-host, I believe, right?
I think.
Hello. Yes.
Hi.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm fine. Yeah, I usually help with this course. I think me and Istara had this initiative like almost a year ago. So we started doing this on Discord. Then a week ago we decided to try Twitter.
All right.
So what I'm doing now, I'm helping with this course and also streaming. We are also live on YouTube.
Perfect. All right. I'm sure more people will join. I did share the announcement.
Yeah, just so people can get to the information, could you let people know where to find Guada?
Oh yeah, I can look. I can't share any links on here, can I? No. Guarda.com. That would be the website, guarda.com. So or you can find it in the App Store. So Apple App Store or Google Play Market, I think it's called.
Cool. I actually did have a question about the staking feature. Could you explain a bit more about how that works and is there like a counterparty risk involved? Obviously, there's been a lot of staking related drama in the last year.
Yeah.
So
So
maybe you could,
I'm not a technical person. I'm not going to lie to you. So I'm not here to sell you, the service. As I said, no financial advice. I'm here to educate people if they want to be educated. So when it comes down to staking, you have different options. So if there's a crypto asset that you want to stake or you want to explore different options, you can always find your Guarda wallet. So you go to the website or you download the app. You create a wallet, you set up the password, you download the backup file, and then you create a specific crypto wallet, and if staking is available, then you can always look at different staking options. So at times you'll see that Garda validator is in place, so you can choose that option, and then you can choose from many different other ones. So you select the validator, you look at the rate, so the passive income. So I think that's the APY percentage. And if you're happy with that, you can just start staking your assets. And the story you mentioned, the risks, again, it's up to you. I suggest, to do your own research, to talk to people that you trust, but we guarantee that the platform is non-custodial. So you just have to be careful with, which crypto you decide to stake. So that's how it works. So you basically use your crypto that you own to generate some passive income. And I would say that there are some attractive options out there that are available on Garda.
Yeah, just looking at the staking page, it's it is only the proof of stake coins, obviously, that are stakeable. So it's not like you are lending out your ETC, for example, or Bitcoin. It's just you are staking on chain directly or potentially through a staking pool with the coins that are able to be staked. So it's not like if you have ETC, you can get a reward on that because it's not stakeable, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I have a question. Are you familiar with the platform called Two Miners by any chance?
Yeah, well, I'm somewhat familiar with it. I use it for screenshotting the network hash rate of ETC, but beyond that, I'm not super familiar.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I noticed that Garda is mentioned on some of the pages, and we get traffic, from there. And I was just wondering if there was a way to connect with the mining community at all. Ethereum Classic is on there, and the page is very popular, I would say. So is there, can I somehow, connect with that group? Do you think there's a different like Discord server? Because I'm not a miner myself, but I've been talking to people and they told me that it's still very popular.
Yeah, well, as far as I know, ETC is one of the most popular proof of work mineable chains, and that's why it's appearing on Two Miners quite a lot. There is actually, I believe, Werner is in the house, who is a veteran miner, very familiar with the community there. So maybe Werner can
Really?
give you some advice.
Yeah,
Um,
that'd be amazing.
well, you're basically looking for pools, if I understand this right. So, well, you could try to contact the pools directly. You can probably find contact details on all of them. Or you could also start by mentioning it on the mining channel on the Ethereum Classic Discord. There are several pool operators who are listening there. And that might be a start. And yeah, otherwise you can just look at the pools. I mean, there's a list of ETC pools on mining pool stats, if I recall this right. Yes, and there you get a list of all the pools where Ethereum Classic is being mined, and then you can look there for contact details.
Awesome. Thank you, Werner. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll start with the Discord and go from there. Yeah, to see what people have to say about the mining.
So
Great.
how would you see mining and Guada interfacing with each other? What could be the potential crossover there? Do you see?
Well, I believe that people who are into mining, they can consider using Garda as one of the reliable non-custodial services. Not here to name, other companies, but yeah, I think if people realize that Garda is one of the better options out there, I think that would be good. And if there is more we can do. You know, again, we're open to different ideas. So if they find that we can expand the functionality, then we will definitely consider, you know, adding more or changing something. So yeah, again, it's about just providing a reliable service and then making sure that we are on top of, you know, the game.
Right. I guess one of the things that miners may be interested in terms of services is a feature to automatically swap whatever currencies they're mining into some other cryptocurrency or a basket of cryptocurrencies, rather than just holding that one thing. So if they had a particular wallet address that was set up in Guarda, for example, or any other system that can do this, to have it automatically then converted would probably be useful for some people, I guess.
Oh, I see. So automatically converting the assets, right?
Right. Yeah. As because I guess they'll be incrementally getting mining rewards, and then after a certain threshold, let's say they earn 1 or 2 ETC over the course of a week, if they have quite a small rig, I guess, then they might want to automatically convert that into, keep some of it in ETC, obviously, maybe buy some Bitcoin with that, and also get some stable coins.
Oh, makes sense. Yeah, I didn't know that. Thank you, Stora.
And since you have a selection of coins, and if we expand this, then you might also end up having some coins that are notoriously volatile, and also people mining these coins tend to try to move them to something more stable, because to avoid getting bitten by any large price swings. Especially if it's miners who also need to pay the monthly energy bill. With those things, then they need to take some precautions that if another FTX or so happens, that they're not suddenly without money when the bill arrives. So that's common that people withdraw the mining returns fairly frequently, even up to daily, and liquidate them to something more stable.
Thank you, Werner. Yeah, I hope that no FTX, you know, situation happens again. But yeah, we'll see.
Well, yeah, having a another good option to maintain custody will hopefully shield people from that potential in a lot of cases. So it's great that people are finally waking up to that. And on a side topic, I noticed that people seem to be purchasing a lot of hardware wallets as well. So that's a great thing. But by the way, does Guarda support hardware wallets right now?
You can certainly, I would say the term is link your, say ledger to your Guarda wallet. Certain assets are supported, but again, another space that we're going to be exploring very soon, just to see how we can make sure that people protect their assets the best way possible. So yeah.
Okay, that's great. Well, unless there's any other listeners that would like to jump in on that, thank you for introducing this and providing value to the ETC network.
Of course, and I think we're still waiting for people to ask the questions. Istora, I have a question for you, if I may.
Of course.
So who are the guests usually? So when you hosted this, not Twitter Space, but this event on Discord, who would usually show up and tell you about, you know, their platform or their project?
Well, usually it's people that are hanging out in the Discord channel. So right now there's a bit of sort of migration into Twitter Spaces. So I guess it's not as we are getting new faces, but it's not the same group that was in there before on Discord, because I guess some people don't have Twitter right now, so they're unfortunately unable to be speakers if they don't want to use Twitter, which is reasonable. But eventually, hopefully, as we keep going on this, it will gather more momentum. And basically, it's open to anyone that has any kind of project. There's a few developers that have provided projects and interesting new apps on Ethereum Classic, and basically anyone that wants to chat can. And there's no real filter of who can speak on this call. So yeah, it's open to everyone.
That's great. I like that approach, and I'll make sure to support the future announcements so more people can join and learn more about the Ethereum Classic, ecosystem.
That's very much appreciated.
Of course. Let's see. And when did you start working with Ethereum Classic or collaborating with the platform?
Me personally, I've been working publicly on Ethereum Classic under the Astora name for about a year now. I've been doing other things behind the scenes before then, but yeah, probably over a year. But I think in 2019, I contributed to the main website, and I've been working on that since then. So doing the call publicly for a year, and the website for about 3 years, I guess now.
Oh, I see. And how would you describe the community? As a community manager, I always ask the same question. How active would you say it is on Discord or any other social media platforms?
So there's a couple of points here, and one is it's kind of difficult to measure because there is no like central point of contact for everyone. Discord is probably the main hub of activity, but it's difficult to tell because there's many other places. Like I know there are some popular channels on Telegram, for example, and I think there's some other language channels, especially in Korea. There's a lot of activity, but as far as I know, I don't think there's any like central point that we could use to measure where the most activity is happening. I would say in terms of activity, obviously compared to a lot of the other chains that have, shall we say, artificial funding mechanisms that allow people to be essentially bribed into contributing through centralized pools of money. Obviously, Ethereum Classic doesn't have a centralized pool of money, so there's less artificial contribution. But what we do have is a dedicated core group of contributors that are doing so naturally without any funding, basically. They just believe in the project. And I think for that reason, it has longer sustainability, because for those other projects, as we've seen, once the money disappears and once that fake traffic also goes, then you're left with not much. But Ethereum Classic's been operating for, I guess, over 7 years now, and it's never really had any source of funding, and yet it's still going despite all the cycles and the bear markets. So yes, there may not be as much day-to-day activity, but because it has a different fundamental approach and philosophy, it has that longevity that allows people to maintain interest over long periods, even without centralized funding. So it's kind of a difficult question to answer because of the different incentive structure that Ethereum Classic has compared to other chains. But for sure, it's less active than some other newer and more technically sparkly, shiny alternatives.
Yeah, but I think it's great that you're now on Twitter, and I'm sure more people will be joining the events. And you host them, you said every other week, or?
Yeah, it's every Tuesday. Currently.
Every Tuesday. So, oh, okay. So every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday at 1500 hours UTC.
I see. And another thing I noticed was the Ethereum Classic, I think, labs. Is that something completely separate?
Yeah, so maybe Donald probably has the best knowledge about the history of ETC labs and what happened there. And I believe, just for the because of that history, ETC Labs still hosts one of the main clients for ETC called Geth, I believe. But yeah, Donald, if you wanted to explain this.
Well, Ethereum separated from Ethereum Classic in 2016, and until more or less the second half of 2017, there was a group of core developers maintaining Ethereum Classic. And then the lead developer organized a company called ETC Dev. And then at the end also of 2017, ETC Labs came as another participant in the ecosystem. They started an incubator, etc. And by the end of 2018, they hired the core developers. And in 2019, they became the core development team for ETC. And that's why the node client is on a repo that whose brand or name is ETC Labs. But ETC Labs between 2020 and 2021 dissolved its operations, and now the ETC cooperative is the one maintaining the clients. It's three core clients, one of which is in the ETC Labs repo, but that entity doesn't exist as such. Now it's ETC Co-op that maintains it.
Oh, did not know that. Thank you, Donald.
Yeah, so similar to Bitcoin, there is no central team really. It's just a bunch of open source contributors that believe in the vision, and that's the thing that maintains contributions primarily. And they come and go over time, but that's okay. That's kind of the nature of the beast.
Yeah, I hope that's all right that I'm asking all these questions, about Ethereum Classic, because I'm here to learn as well. That's
No, of course. I think these are important things to for the community as a whole to understand. And there's no, like, I think that a lot of people don't really see the, I guess, the unique aspects of ETC, and they see them as a negative. Like a common complaint is that Ethereum Classic doesn't innovate enough, and because of that, it's a dead chain, for example. But as we've talked about in the calls before, it's quite the opposite, really. And I was thinking this week, because of the World Cup, I just had a shower thought about how Ethereum Classic is a bit like the game of soccer, whereby the rules don't change much at all. In fact, they haven't changed for like hundreds of years, maybe a tweak here or there with the offside rule or whatever. But just having an ossified and fair protocol that everyone can agree to play with without any change much can yield a lot of interest and eventually snowball into like a massively interesting thing, because then you have innovation happening on higher levels. So if the game of soccer changed too much, then you wouldn't really be able to pick up that momentum. And other chains are in the business of rapidly innovating. But I think when you have a winning formula, then you don't really need to change it too much.
I like that analogy. Yeah, it's well said.
I have a question for Guarda Wallet.
All right.
So I see your domain is guarda.com.
That is correct. Yeah.
And how many users does your wallet have? How is your market positioning compared to other non-custodial wallets like Trust Wallet, MetaMask, Coinbase Wallet, etc.?
Well, since we are non-custodial, we are not able, and not that we would want to track how many people, actually use the service, but I can tell you that we're looking at around probably 200K active users. But again, since we have the web version available, people can just create different wallets and, store different assets. So yeah, I would say we're not as hip I would say, as other platforms, but we're very traditional and we're reliable. So yeah, people are using the wallet, but we are still developing our marketing strategy. And
When
more
when
about,
was the company founded? When did it start?
back in 2017.
2017. Okay.
Yeah, so for some time, been around. But yeah, again, we're going to be expanding, just introducing new features. But I like what Istora said. So staying true to values, using the traditional approach, that's something we can relate to.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
I'm sorry if you mentioned this before, but did you mention that there was a browser extension for Guarda Wallet similar to MetaMask, or was it just a web wallet?
There is an extension. It's available on Chrome.
Okay.
Yeah, Opera.
I can't see the link to that on your website.
We're probably still updating that, but yeah, I'll make sure that we add more information. Thank you, Istora. Yeah, I was just updating the description the other day. So perhaps we're updating the whole extension, but it's convenient, in case you don't want to download the app, for example. So
And does that have functionality similar to MetaMask where it will inject into the website so you can interact with applications? Because I mentioned this because Ethereum Classic is kind of receiving second-class support from MetaMask, and it'd be great to have a well-supported browser extension that has similar functionality that we can recommend to users of Ethereum Classic instead of MetaMask, because currently you have to do some manual configuration with MetaMask to get it to work.
Probably not something we support just yet, but that's an interesting point. You know what? We should definitely talk. Yeah, I would love to know more about, how difficult it would be to integrate, something like that.
Yeah, that would be a killer feature, I believe, and one that would help drive adoption for both Guarda and Ethereum Classic. So it might be a good win-win.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. Yeah, and if any of you listening to the space have any questions about Guarda or Web3 or Ethereum Classic, please raise your hand. Not yet, I suppose. So I have a question for Werner. And my question is about mining. So Istora mentioned that you are quite the expert, right?
Well, I work for an ASIC miner manufacturer.
Oh, so you are the expert. Okay, cool. So I have a very simple question. If I'm not a technical person, right, how difficult would it be for someone like me to start mining Ethereum Classic? Would it take me years to do that? Or, I can just do the research, talk to people like yourself, and just start doing it?
Yeah, you need basically two things. You need suitable hardware. And then, well, if you buy let's say an ASIC miner, then it comes with firmware that already manages everything for you. You just you take your miner, then you choose a pool where you want to with which you want to do the mining. So the pool takes care of all of the block generation and the integration of transactions into these blocks and so on, and just sends you basically a number to work on, and then your miner processes this and sends back results. So you go to your miner and you tell it my pool is over there, and in this configuration, you also specify to which wallet you want the returns to go.
Mm-hmm.
And with these things, basically, you're set. This is for this. The problem is that GPUs tend to be less power efficient situation with high power prices almost everywhere. This is often not profitable. So there's due to the current circumstances, there's a push towards ASICs.
I see.
But if you just want to try it, then GPU is the easiest way to give it a first try. You just need a GPU with enough memory. Can be NVIDIA, can be AMD, and you need to find some mining software. And I'm not too familiar with GPU mining. But you can ask on the mining channel, and people will know what to recommend. And then you can set this up, pick a pool, configure all this in your mining software, and then what you basically do is that you have a set of configuration strings which tell the mining software to which pool to connect, and then the mining software tells the pool to which wallet you want the returns from your mining to be sent. And this is the most common setup. There's another version where the pool has user accounts. So in this case, this is particularly popular in China. I think most or most of the pools have used this model, where you set up an account and then you use either the username you have there or something that the pool generates for you to identify yourself to the pool, and then the pool internally manages the sending to the wallet. So the wallet is not exposed when you connect to the pool, but instead you use an identification that is between you and the pool. But most of the pools use this the simpler way where you just tell the pool to which wallet you want to go, and so this means that the wallet address is visible, but you don't need to create an account at the pool is set, or you just set up your mine and it works.
Thank you. And when it comes down to selecting a crypto wallet, hopefully non-custodial, that you want to use, how do you usually make a decision there? What is the criteria?
That really depends on your individual circumstances. I mean, well, in my case, I don't do too many operations on the wallet side. What I do is that when we test mining with our machines, set up wallets to receive mining returns from there, and they are shared inside the company. So they're looking for something that is very easily shared, not necessarily extremely secure, but it's a matter of convenience, and of course something where I have the keys just in case, and so that would be my specific use case. Now, for many people, it's different. They want a wallet that may have some additional features or is compatible with certain services. I mean, lots of things have an interface with MetaMask. And so they might pick things based on this, or if your wallet is combined with some additional financial services, like in your case, you have this credit card or maybe some exchange service or things like this, or the staking. So again, these are things that people might want to consider.
Thank you, Werner. Yeah, I hope that people in the audience will check out Garda and see if they like it. Hopefully they will.
Actually, Werner, I had a question because I was considering building a little desktop PC for experimenting with some VR projects, but also potentially mining some provenance-free ETC for contract deployment. And I was looking at the various mining softwares available, and it seems most of them have some kind of development fee that take like 1% of all the mining reward. And I was kind of confused by that. I would have assumed that most of these products would be open source, and that if they did introduce a fee like that, they could just be forked away. So is what I'm saying accurate? And why is it not the case that there isn't just like a really good open source mining tool that's free?
As I said, I'm not too familiar with the situation on the GPU side, but there are definitely those mining fees. I mean, that's essentially how they finance the development. And I suppose there are cases where the mining software is open source, but they just have it in there and they hope that you don't remove it. And of course, then you have the ones that are closed source, where it's much harder to remove it. But yes, all the many, if not all, of the state-of-the-art mining programs that are intended for mining on a PC with a GPU, they tend to cover those developer fees. If you get an ASIC, as to my knowledge, none have any feature like this. So the cost of the software is included in the price of the ASIC mining machine.
Right, I see. And I would then assume that a lot of these GPU-based mining tools will have some kind of magic algorithm that improves the mining efficiency, and therefore they have the ability to keep it closed source and charge a fee for that. And that would keep them competitive against other open source options.
That may also be the case, yes.
All right, cool. Well, I will hopefully be updating my mining rig construction journey with the future calls, and also syncing nodes and all that kind of stuff. I'm hoping to go
Please
to
do.
Yeah. I'll report back as progress goes, but I'm still deciding. I haven't really done any research about specific parts and stuff yet, so that will be an ongoing adventure for me.
Istora are going to be using the GPU to mine.
Yeah, that's right.
What happened to the GPU prices? They went down, or they were supposed to, right?
I'm pretty sure they did go down after the merge, and there's probably like a massive flood of GPU hardware secondhand available. So both new and secondhand GPUs are probably cheaper, but again, I'm not super familiar with the history of the price.
Mm-hmm. All right, I see. So does anyone have any questions for Istora or other speakers?
I see Wiedergarten is in the house. Did you want to say something, Wieder?
Hey guys, how are you guys doing?
Hi, how are you?
Good,
Hi, I'm
thanks.
good to see Guarda Wallet here. That's kind of interesting. But yeah, it's nice to have someone from outside show up every once in a while.
I'm definitely from the outside, but it's good to be here. I'm learning a lot, and it's good to connect, with people who are so passionate about, just passionate about something. It's rare these days.
Yeah, thank you for coming though. Really appreciate it. Right now I don't have much to say. I'm just writing something real quick, and then I'll come back in like 2 minutes and finish that off. But I just wanted to say that amidst all the stuff that's been happening, in the last 1 month, the FTX collapse, I think I've been looking into all the communities, the Bitcoin and the Ethereum, and the one that just held together where nothing changed is ETC, and that I can say is very clear. Nothing has changed, and everyone is still here. We're all just pushing for the right future that we're all looking for. So I want to thank everybody who's here, who's listening, taking the time to delve into it. As even Guarda Wallet, who just came out of the blue to come and take a look at what's going on. So yeah, I thought it was worth it to say we all appreciate each other for what we bring to the table.
Yeah, likewise. And one of the main benefits, I guess, of this Twitter the Twitter Spaces thing is that it enables this kind of random interaction that would not otherwise be possible on Discord. So I guess as time goes forward, we'll get more drop-in gifts that are able to contribute. So if anyone is listening and in that position, then yeah, please do join us in a future call or this one.
Yeah, and since FTX was mentioned, and I was not here, during the last community call, what was your reaction, Istor, when it all went down?
Yeah, obviously, it's sad for the whole space, especially for people that have lost money. It's always a shame to see scams come to light and people lose money that way. So I, first of all, realize that it's a huge event and a lot of people have been hurt by that. So it's bad. From the ETC side itself, there wasn't much direct impact. I mean, the price of the whole crypto market went down a bit, but that's not the first time it's happened. So in Ethereum classic sort of tradition, it's kind of like a honey badger don't care sort of approach to that particular event. At the same time, I think in the long run, it's probably going to benefit chains like Ethereum Classic because of the commitment to decentralization and the philosophy and the underlying principles that prevent these kind of things from happening. Like FTX was fundamentally a centralized thing that it could have been anything really. It didn't have to be crypto that was the vehicle that allowed it to happen. It could have been any traditional securities exchange, but it just so happened to be crypto. And hopefully, if there's any upside, then people can learn the lesson of don't trust, verify. And that's always been Ethereum Classic's like fundamental vision from the very start. So in the long run, I think it's really going to help the space grow in an anti-fragile way, like all of the negative things have happened in the past. But obviously, there's immediate pain that has to happen for that growth to occur. But yeah, Ethereum Classic is unmoved, and if anything, it just highlights the strong foundation that's required to survive long term in the space.
No, I think the way Stora put it, I think it's great. It really goes to show, how tightly knit everyone here is. We all follow the same fundamentals, and that's going to help us over the long term to stick to a plan and stick to our visions. And everybody has their own vision. It's slightly different, but they all work towards almost similarly a very similar common goal. And so I think the collapse of FTX and all the companies after that came as a direct result or as a indirect result. I think it's more. I think it is a very sad event for all the people that are involved, and my condolences go out to them. They did not withdraw their funds from centralized exchanges, and that led to the demise of their so-called investment. But it's always important to remember that we need to remove our stuff from exchanges and keep it in our own wallets. But every time something happens, or at least I like to believe that there is always a lesson to be learned and something that we can take away from it. And I think this specific this collapse or this however you want to call it is going to be one of the main reasons, especially in the coming years, as to why people are going to pivot to a more decentralized financial system when it comes to crypto, because as you can see, every time there's a centralized player, especially in crypto, which is, FTX was supposedly regulated, but the United States, as we can tell, did a terrible job of regulating it, and it all turned out to be essentially a Ponzi scheme. So it's going to be a twist in the road for every single person that has a common vision here. But just like every time every time something falls, it creates opportunity, and opportunity is where we are now.
Right, and another thing to add there is that Ethereum Classic has had debates in the not too distant past about whether or not a centralized group should have basically a large role. And I think that centralization, like let's say, for example, the Treasury proposal, for those listening that are not aware of ETC's recent past, there was a Treasury proposal pushed by IOHK, largely by Charles Hoskinson, who was trying to get a situation where 7% of all the mining rewards would go to IOHK for ETC mining rewards. And luckily that was rejected by the community. There was no consensus reached on that, and therefore it would have caused a chain split. And that the risk of that happening was apparent, and that was enough to have the proposal withdrawn. But let's say in an alternative reality, that Treasury proposal did go through, that would mean that then Ethereum Classic would have this potential exposure risk to any of the entities that had in turn exposure to the FTX thing. And it could have been the case that one of those entities, like IOHK, also went down. And if that was the case, then it would have taken the whole Ethereum Classic project with it, probably, because when you overly rely on those central organizations, then there's no natural contribution incentivization mechanism. It has to be a level playing field in order to incentivize everyone to contribute. Otherwise, like, people are contributing and really some other entity is benefiting. So it was really important to maintain neutrality of the protocol. And I think that we didn't just dodge a bullet, but dodged like a potential, catastrophic event had IOHK been involved in FTX. And it wasn't the case this time, but many projects were, and it could have been the thing,
Yeah, and I wonder, why do people still trust centralized, exchanges and trust their crypto?
Well, I think it's not as much of a question of trust, more than it is just easier, or I guess you could say more.
Is it marketing?
It's just more convenient, because you have to think about it this way: the majority of people, when they're buying cryptocurrency, the reason why is because they just want to get in on it. They want to get in on whatever hype is going on. So they don't really care about, okay, let's get our money out of here so that we can keep it. They just say, oh, wow, I have crypto. It's on an exchange, but it's not a big deal. So they're going to just leave it there. And, if the price goes up, then they might sell it or they might not. But the point is that it's easier for them to leave it on the exchange. And it really just is a lack of education when it comes to this space. It is, even though, the whole space is only 13, 14 years old maximum, there's still a very small number of like, relatively to the total amount of people who are interested in this space, a small percentage is actually educated as to how it all works and how to, protect yourself against scams and against, centralized exchanges collapsing and taking all of your money. So it's more of a question of convenience. So the easier it's going to be to bring funds to, their own wallet, and understanding how that whole, because maybe for us, we understand that how easy it is just to send your funds out from the exchange and into your wallet. It's like it's in your, subconscious. But for a new person to crypto, it's just a whole, it's a whole thing that they either don't want to deal with, or that they just prefer not to deal with and just leave their funds on the exchange.
For 600 years, we've been used to the paradigm that banks hold our wealth. And to go back to the paradigm where you have your own wealth and you have to take care of it and have your own security procedures, etc., is a big change, and a lot of people are scared. I have at least one friend who lost funds at FTX, and the only reason why they had the money there was because they found it too risky to have their own private keys because they didn't know if they were going to lose them. So a lot of people still use Coinbase and Binance as their wallets because of that.
I'd
Just
also
because.
add.
Go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, I'd also add to that a lot of the marketing that FTX was utilizing, such as getting influencers like celebrities, I won't name names, but we all know that there was a lot of big names promoting this, what turned out to be a scam. And a lot of people still, well, because they were recently involved in crypto, they didn't have the don't trust verify mantra. So we're like, okay, this guy that I trust who's famous, he must have done the due diligence for me, so I'm going to defer my trust to this guy. And unless there's like either education personally or I don't really know a way to solve it other than just making it super easy, like having non-custodial wallets like Guarda become more popular to prevent this kind of thing from happening.
Yeah, and it's sad that if you go on Twitter and you look at some of the opinions, some people started criticizing the crypto space in general, and I just think it's not fair. After what happened to FTX, it's like they started saying that, oh, crypto is a scam in general, and I disagree with that. I think it's just not right when you just look at the whole space, and for some reason you start encouraging other people not to use crypto.
Exactly. But the way the media portrays it, it really is it's like the whole space is one giant scam. And the reason is because just the average person, it's all the same thing, right? FTX, FTX is a crypto, company. Therefore, it is crypto, and it's a big crypto exchange. So
it's like crypto bad. Essentially,
exactly.
their message is crypto equals bad.
The funny thing is, most networks, even the proof of stake networks, not to mention the proof of work networks, have been, ever since their launch, have been doing the same thing throughout the collapse, throughout the last couple of years. There has the fundamental actual technology is doing its job. So for people to just think, okay, it's bad all of a sudden because somebody did something malicious, is it's akin to thinking that I'm sure you could come up with plenty of examples, but it's just stupid all in all.
Yeah, one analogy that I've heard that's pretty accurate, I think, is in the .com. I mean, pets.com was not a scam, so it's not the same. But like one project, like pets.com not working out, should not reflect the whole space. And it turned out that the .com bubble was a bubble, but it became a much bigger bubble. So yeah, even small short-term reputational damage across the whole space, people will forget it eventually. And I don't think it's in any way a mortal wound to the space, just a little blip. I see that we have a monumental event has just occurred, which is the first emoji hand has been raised in the Ethereum Classic community call. So I wanted to hand over to ZeusPay.etc, who wishes to speak.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Hey,
yeah,
how
we
are you?
can.
It was really cool when you said that a monumental event has occurred and that someone raised their hand. That was really funny. Anyway, guys,
Congratulations.
yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for having the vision for Ethereum Classic. I think everyone is going to come around to it eventually. Unfortunately, it's rather sad what's happened to like millions of people regarding the FTX saga, and unfortunately, this one really affecting not just people like in America, but literally people everywhere. Even people in Africa are affected. So yeah, it is a really bitter pill to swallow for a lot of people. I'm sure everyone will come out of it one way or another. We've seen this with the .com bubble as well when it burst. But I mean, these things have to happen before the real use cases would emerge. Like, I mean, look at Amazon now, look at Facebook, look at Instagram, look at eBay and all that stuff. Like it won't happen if the original VC money did not go chasing the idea of a decentralized, of like, the first internet protocol. So in this time, we are witnessing the next iteration, which I think is going to be more powerful than the internet itself, although it's going to be running on top of it. But I think that the value generated by blockchain protocols is going to dwarf anything that we've seen over the past however many years in technology. The only thing which I think is needed at the moment is, like one of the other speakers said, is education, because a lot of people, just like anything else, like even internet banking, so many people are scared of it until they get shown, and then they press a few buttons, and then they realize, hey, wait a minute, this is not that scary. It's not that difficult, So it's great that the ETC community is coming around. I mean, I say that people in the ETC community understand the value of decentralization. Yes, I know the temptation is there for making gains, which is what unfortunately bends a lot of people. I mean, it bent me as well. I'm sure it's bent every single person on this chat as well, where it's just human nature. You put your money somewhere and then you make some gains. It's just normal human nature. But eventually, you understand that the decentralization or the fact that you actually own the asset and you can go to sleep, wake up the next day and see that your asset is still there is more valuable than whatever gains it is that you can make on the assets sitting on someone else's exchange or someone else's wallet. So yeah, I just want to say, well done to you guys. We'll be here. I think our project is more about the pipeline, the infrastructure, because our background is infrastructure engineering. So we want to push the ETC network by building the ground pipelines, teaching people how to use it, teaching people the importance of it. And I believe in the future, I mean, there's going to be so many bright brains that are going to come along and build protocols and applications that we can't even imagine in this time. So yeah, let's just keep going. I have one thing for Darius though. Darius Stans. I don't know if your name is affiliated to the show Salvation. Have you seen it?
Oh no, that's like the second time someone like realized this. Yeah, no, I just picked up this name from that TV show, but
Oh yeah,
by Weeder
yeah.
Garden. It's just a name that.
Oh, it's just a name, right? Okay, that's quite a coincidence. That because yeah, Salvation is a really good show. If no one has checked it out, but yeah, I just just for comedy, just to raise that up. But yeah, thank you guys so much.
I did take it from the. Yeah, you're right.
Thanks guys for letting me speak, and yep, everyone just carry on doing what you're doing. Eventually everyone is going to come around. It's just like the internet. Everyone is going to come around to it.
Exactly. That's a good way to look at it. Absolutely.
It sure is.
Because when I first bought crypto a couple years back, I just bought Bitcoin, and at the time it was really just to get into it and to just to get part of the funds that would maybe I could earn a little bit out of it. But it wasn't until a couple months after that before I started looking. Okay, what even is this asset that I bought? And then I started realizing, wait a second, I just bought like some of the most life-changing technology, and I had no idea, and I couldn't believe it. And so I started looking into, okay, what are other people doing? Because there's plenty of other projects. And then I saw this, smart contracts on Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. I'm like, what in the world? This is, yeah. So the potential is there, and you're 100% right about education. So a couple weeks ago, I came on the call to see if anybody wanted a ETC education thing. Not too many people were interested, but I then just that week I ended up going to a hackathon and I did a little project there. But I ended up meeting so many cool people, and one of the people was a judge. And his name was Antoine, and he's been in crypto since 2011. So he's a true OG. And so we got to talking, and we decided to create. So right now he has a project on Ethereum. It's called DevCash. And I talked to him. I said, look, if you port DevCash over to Ethereum Classic, if you move the infrastructure to Ethereum Classic, then, you know, you'll have my full support, the full support of my firm, and, you know, all the people that I have connections with. And so essentially DevCash, the project that he was, you know, that he was working on, what it does is it's sort of like a bounty program, but for education. So bounties can go up on his platform, and anybody who wants to learn, they just click on the link, and it gives them a full description of how everything works. And then they have to complete a certain task, and once they can complete the task, they get a reward in DevCash, which is like the native currency for their project. So I talked to him about that, and he said absolutely, let's do it. So just you know, expect for some updates in the coming weeks about that. We just need to build a better front end, because right now he's just using an existing one from a different project. But what we're going to do with that is there's going to be about 50% just general crypto, you know, stuff to learn about, you know, wallets and, you know, the history of crypto. And then the other 50% is going to be specifically about Ethereum Classic. So, you know, the history of Ethereum Classic, you know, why it exists, what it's useful for, how smart contracts are going to, you know, be the uprising of Ethereum Classic, and why Ethereum Classic is better than Ethereum in the sense that it's more safe and it's more decentralized and it is immutable since day one. And we should be very proud of, you know, having our community continuing to push for an immutable Ethereum Classic. And so far, up until this day, since 2015, we have been completely successful. So yeah, just keep an eye out. I'll come on future calls to talk about that. So we'll have to see. But I'm really excited to get that going, because we do need education, as you said, and we're going to make that happen.
Yeah, there is. I'm
Awesome.
a crypto educator, somewhat of a crypto educator myself, and yeah, we should definitely talk. I would love to look at the platform that you mentioned. Sorry, Astora.
No problem. I just wanted to say thanks for bringing that DevCash project into the call, and I believe that the guys behind that, Block Dev United, one of the, just looking at their GitHub, one of the members is part of ChainSafe, which are one of the teams that have worked on Ethereum Classic in the past and have they're friends of the project. So it seems like a good crossover.
Yeah, no, I met Antoine at that hackathon, and he was like a Bitcoin fundamentalist, and you know, he knew about Ethereum Classic. He said he even owned some, but he never really took the time to really look into it. So I started telling him about how ETH is like centralized, and how the U.S. government could essentially take it over if they wanted to. And he started saying, okay, well, I should definitely, you know, look into moving that to Ethereum Classic. So the future, you know, nobody knows what the future holds, but I'm very hopeful, and I hope everyone else is too.
Yeah, and moreover, the future is in our hands. We are in a unique position where the decisions we make can actually have like a massive impact on the future of humanity. So yeah, that's why we're here today. ZeusPay, you mentioned briefly you're working on a project. Is that ZeusPay.etc a thing that you wanted to announce or talk more about? Could you explain what that is?
Yeah, guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity. Yeah. So I think I have been in a few spaces just to give a brief overview of what we're doing. So with ZeusPay, because we are mainly just infrastructure engineers, so we work on deploying servers, firewalls, networks for businesses, whether new or old. So we just leveraging that skill with our research in blockchain to just deploy the networks for the blockchain networks. So mainly Ethereum Classic is what we're focusing on, and that's where we deployed our coin because we believe that just like Bitcoin, no one can take it away from anyone. And also, we decided to list it on Hibiswap, which is the decentralized exchange. So our plan is to first, yes, we're going to work on the deployments of nodes and training of engineers to be able to manage those nodes and update them, back them up, and replicate them somewhere else if they need to. But we also want to hit the ground with practical education, and we're going to use Zeus to do that. So because we have visibility of the back end, we can show students how everything works. So the actions they perform, like send and swap, they'll be able to see how exactly it works in the back end. So we're going to approach it in a workshop fashion where we would give, for instance, maybe 40 students some amount of ETC, and then 40 students some amount of Zeus. And then we will talk them through just swapping it amongst themselves and also swapping it in the decentralized exchange engine. We hope, I mean, at the moment, we're still fleshing out everything. We're still doing a lot of demos to institutions. I think we're targeting a lot of the educational institution and the telecoms, the telecoms engineers, because they are more likely to first understand the technology and then repackage it in a way that they'll be able to teach like students a bit more easily. So those are our target groups. We will have lots of products that we'll be selling. So we'll be selling hardware products and we'll be selling services. But the idea is that we'll get anyone who wants to get in to purchase it with digital currency. So we're not going to touch any fiat. We want them to participate purely on a digital capacity. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's what the Zeus project is about. We've developed a payment system as well, so a point of sale device that businesses will be able to use to accept all ETC ecosystem coins. So if anyone is building a project, as long as you have a use case for it, you'll be able to configure your coins on this machine for businesses to accept for products and services. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's what the Zeus project is about.
Wow, that sounds awesome, and it seems like you're doing everything the right way, from going right to the education to getting payments in crypto. So
yeah, thank you so much. Thank you
so
so
much. I
much.
just wanted to could you mention like the project website or where people can find out more about this?
So at the moment, what we've done is we want everyone to also be part of the development process. So yes, at the moment we have a Medium article out detailing the technology. I think we have a piece there that shows people how to configure the Ethereum Classic network and also be able to add Ethereum Classic ecosystem coins into the Ethereum Classic network on their MetaMask, so they have their assets with them. And then from there, we'll be able to just get people, just familiar with moving things around, securing their keys. I know someone said that one of the hurdles is that people are a bit afraid of protecting their own private keys. So yeah, if we can develop frameworks that makes it easy for people to be able to manage these things, that is where we looking to go.
Okay, great. And maybe after this call, you can send me a DM for any links, and I'll add them to the agenda so people can follow up.
That'll be great. That'll be great. So we're going to be building. We've started tinkering with building the website, but what we want to do is that we're building an application so that businesses will be able to accept to buy products and services directly with crypto, and we want to integrate that into the website so that when people come on there, yes, they'll get information about what the project is about, but then if they want to purchase any of the services, they can do that directly on the website as well with cryptocurrency.
That's brilliant. Well, thank you for being another random contributor to this call, and it's nice to see some organic new projects sprouting.
Thank you so much.
Okay, well, we are at 1 hour and 30 minutes into the call, and usually we would wrap up around this time. So unless there's any other speakers that wanted to jump in, and we typically at the end of each call have a free talk section that is rarely used, but maybe now that we're on Twitter Spaces, there'll be more people in future calls or this one to jump in. So I'll leave the floor open if anyone wants to contribute anything. And if not, we'll wrap up.
Does anyone else want to go before me? I do have something to talk about.
Go on, please.
Okay. Yeah. So I almost forgot. One of my clients came to ask me to join this space. That's the whole reason I'm here. So first time I come on this call to talk about my client's project called Classic DAO. And essentially what they're trying to do, and they hired my firm to make the whole DAO protocol. They actually asked us to make a new protocol from scratch. So we decided to add a bunch of new innovations to this protocol. And one of the biggest is we're going to be used. So typically DAOs these days, when a proposal is submitted, they use typically they're just to send funds to another address. Some of them use hashing functions such as KEKAK 256 to hash the functions that they want to execute. But there is a lot of limitations, and it isn't exactly how Solidity was designed to function. And so what we're building for our client is this DAO. For Classic DAO, we're going to be allowing smart contracts called Eros proposals to interact with the actual DAO itself, and they will act as proposals. So instead of having each proposal just be a submission to the DAO, people can first go and create a proposal by making another smart contract, and then they could submit that smart contract address to the DAO. The DAO will verify to make sure that it has all the necessary requirements to be an Eros proposal. Directly tied to the DAO to be governed by the DAO. And it's also going to make it easier for projects to have payment plans, or if they're doing a public sale or a sale of their token, and they want to have the DAO buy some of those tokens, well, now they can do it directly from the sale instead of having to set up an intermediary, either another contract. But all in all, it's quite complicated. And I just wanted to come here not to spread the word about it, really, but I wanted to look for maybe 4, 5, 6 people who are really interested in what DeFi could be on ETC in the future, and to come and to talk to me, and so that I can teach them about what we're building, and to essentially become ambassadors to the project. In the sense that they understand what it is, and they go around and they don't have to talk about it, but they can mention it every once in a while, because they understand what it is. And right now, that's the one thing that my client is lacking. We have plenty of people who are here, following the project, who have already bought tokens because they did a private sale back in the summer. But nobody really super understands what's going on in terms of the actual protocol. And I think it's important that we have some people who aren't developing it, but also understand what we're doing. So if you want to learn a little bit more about that before contacting me, if you hit my my profile right now that you see on this call here on the Spaces, the first tweet will be the link to my client's website, Classic DAO, and there you can just learn about about the goals, who's working on this, and then in the top section of the website, you can also go see the protocol paper, which is a paper that me and my colleague wrote for this project. So you can, and that goes in depth about what we're trying to build and how the protocol is going to function in relation to other DAO protocols. And its additional complexity, which is going to allow for further scalability. So if anybody here is very interested in seeing, okay, how can Ethereum Classic move forward, especially if you notice that nothing very innovative is happening right now. If you want to see innovation, you want to learn about how to innovate and how we're innovating, I urge you to come and speak to me, and I will go through each section of what we're doing. and show you exactly what we're doing, because we just want a couple people to understand what we're doing, and hopefully that will allow it to spread out so that people, can see how Classic DAO could become a very important part of the DeFi ecosystem for Ethereum Classic, because finally the real goal for what my client is trying to do is to universalize project funding, in the sense that any project that is on Ethereum Classic that is trying to innovate or trying to do something new, or even if they're just porting something over but need funding for whatever reason, well, they can come and submit a proposal to this. And all of the people who are participating in the DAO, all the people who have DAO tokens, are able to vote to decide yes or no if they want to fund that project. And if they fund it and if it works out, then the DAO will receive a portion of the proceeds, which is then distributed by the value of the token itself. But I definitely recommend, if you don't want to talk to me about it and you just want to learn a bit about it, as I said, on the website, in the docs section at the top, you can find our protocol paper, and that really gets the basics down. It's like a 10-minute read or so. But otherwise, thanks everyone for coming today, and I'm happy I got to speak a little bit. And you just keep building and keep holding, and don't lose hope, because we're going to see tough times in the coming future. I can expect it, and maybe we won't, but if we do, don't lose hope and stick together.
Thank you for that, Darius. And just for those listening on YouTube, your Twitter handle and the website are? It's at Wiedergarten, right? That's WEDERGARTEN, Wiedergarten.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on Twitter.
And the website for Classic DAO?
Yeah, classicdao.one. So Classic, which is the same as Ethereum Classic. So classicdao, DAO.one. ONE.one.
All right, perfect. And yeah, it sounds technology-wise sounds super interesting, and I'll definitely check that out. And I encourage the developers and those technologically inclined to do the same. Okay, so once again, is there anyone else that wanted to say anything before we wrap up?
Yeah, I wanted to thank you, Histora, for inviting me, and I wanted to say thank you to everyone who joined us. And it's nice meeting you all. Brolal, Donald, Darius will be in touch. And Zeuspe, of course, thank you for raising your hand today. I'm sure more people will follow your lead. And I hope that we can work together, and I can't wait to create more educational content for the crypto community and letting more people join the Ethereum Classic space. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, and thank you to everyone joining and listening and contributing. It's been a pleasure to see Twitter Spaces serving its role and getting lots of contributors together that previously hadn't really communicated. So hopefully this continues and the trend snowballs. So yeah, thank you to everyone. Yeah.
And thank you, Werner. I definitely know more about mining now. And if I have any questions, I'm going to DM you, if that's all right.
Sure.
Perfect.
All right. Well, there was one last item on the agenda about organizing some kind of LAN party within the Ethereum Classic community that maybe we can brainstorm on next week. But that might be a fun thing to do, maybe during the holiday period or on a regular basis. But for now, I think this week we've got a lot of content that we've gone through, and it's been a really good one. So we will call it a day for now. And I just want to remind people they can use the ETC tweets hashtag to suggest tweets for both the Twitter accounts. It's been a little bit quiet on the update front in terms of actually making those pull requests, which is anyone can make them, but I'll try next week. I've been a bit busy this week to do more of that and make sure all those suggested tweets get pull requests if they are if they're good. All right, so yeah, that's it. Thanks to everyone for coming, and see you at the same time, same place next week. The Green Room, which is an offline, not recorded version of this chat, will happen 30 minutes before at 1430 UTC next Tuesday, and the main call will be at 1500 hours UTC on Twitter Spaces. So look out for the announcement that will be coming next week. All right, so thanks for joining us, and until next week, stay classy. Take care. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you
Goodbye.
next time.
Goodbye.
Cheers, guys. Bye.